And now, live in the Much environment, we have finally Joan Jett. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're trying to figure out if you were here or not, but amidst all this mess, we couldn't quite figure it out. What a zoo. The new album, and I call it an album. Check this out. This is not a CD. There's black. Look at this. Just like old times. Why? Does anybody have turntables anymore?
I think they do, yeah. People enjoy buying vinyl, I think, because also of the, you get a chance to see the artwork. You know, it's not so small, it's not just a cassette, it's not just a CD. And I think also it has maybe a special place in people's hearts.
You've been making music. I remember, I think it was in '79 when the first album came out. Not The Runaways, but your first solo album.
Right.
I just loved it. Now, for you, going through all the years you've been making music, are those what you would call the good old days for you? Do you refer to them like that?
Well, it's hard to say. They're all good days, you know? I mean, it's all a lot of hard work and things like that. I mean, I guess you could look at it in one sense that we were a struggling band that pretty much came from nowhere and had this great success with a song called I Love Rock and Roll, you know, so in one sense I look back on that and think the good old days, but these are the good old days too, because to me just being on the road and touring and things like that makes me extremely happy, and so as long as I can do that, I'm having a good time.
You know what Chrissy Hines said? She was in town recently, she gave a press conference, and she said that women can't rock. She said that they're physically unable to hold a guitar properly, and that their chest gets in the way, and that they basically just can't rock.
Well, I don't know about that. No problems with me. I don't know, I find that kind of an interesting comment, especially coming from Chrissy. I don't agree at all. I think that women can rock just as hard. I'm not exactly sure where that came from inside of her, but I don't see why that statement would have been made. I feel that women can rock just as hard. It seems to me that she said that women emote and that men don't emote, and that's the reason that they're more aggressive on stage. And I happen to think that women have just as much aggression, not negative, but on a positive physical level, just like sports would be, you know, to get that out. And I think that it's really a necessary thing for them, and women shouldn't feel funny about getting up on stage and sweating and doing things like that, just as men shouldn't feel unmanly if they're emoting, if they have feelings, if they want to cry. I mean, you're literally cutting off half of who you are if you do that. So it's hard for me to agree with Chrissy on that.
Listen to Talking right now, and after having heard this album, Pure and Simple, the new one, or the new CD, depending on what format you have, it seems that what you're saying now is very indicative of the content of this album, because you are really writing from the perspective of a woman on this album. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Tell me about some of the songs and how they only could have been written by a woman.
Okay, for the very first song on the album is called Go Home, and that's about being stalked, about being attacked, and really about winning, about overcoming. It's supposed to be an empowering song, and unfortunately it was written, it was not inspired, that's the wrong word, but there was a woman in a band called the Gits in Seattle, a woman named Mia Zapata who was raped and murdered, and we wanted to take this situation and try to turn it into a positive thing, saying, look, you know, there's a lot of evil out there now, and you can't just leave a gig and say, oh, I live 2 blocks away, I'll be okay, I've done this walk a million times, because you just can't look at life like that, unfortunately, anymore, and you've got to learn how to be responsible, whether it's just learning the simplest things of self-defense, whether it's stepping on someone's instep, whether it's screaming no in their face, just anything that can helped get you away from the situation for those few seconds to call for help.
Now, we're going to stop talking about this because your video is about this as well. So go on to some other songs and we'll reinforce what you're just talking about later on. Some other songs on this album that were particularly written by women, like Spinster, for example?
Spinster, yes. Well, this song was definitely a song that we wanted to bring positive connotation and meaning back to the word spinster, because originally spinster had a very positive meaning. Pre-industrial revolution, when women were the spinners and men were the farmers. It wasn't like any woman could be a spinster. Spinster was a name given to the women that became very adept at something like this. So if you were called a spinster, that was a real compliment. Just like not anybody could be a blacksmith. It was sort of a compliment paid to people, to women. And then I think over the years, as certain women decided, for whatever reason, not to get married, the negative connotations slowly sunk in. And what we wanted to do with this song was equate bachelor equals single, right? And spinster should equal single too. And it shouldn't be a negative situation. It should be a positive one.
Let's talk a little bit about the idea of riot girl. There's a movement that has been going on for several years that some people say that you are actually one of the first riot girls. Now, I'm not very familiar with the whole group. Can you tell me a little bit about the movement, the riot girl movement?
I'll tell you, I wasn't there at the beginning either, so I don't know that much about it. What I can tell is that it was a group of young women, either college age, late high school age, that would deal with many problems, whether it had to do with abuse, all kinds of abuse, family abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and it seems like nobody would ever listen to them. So the way these women were able to deal with it, almost in a therapeutic way, was to write fanzines, and they would write to each other across the country, and they became known as the Riot Girls. And it pretty much started out with a band called Bikini Kill, and also a band called Bratmobile. There's several bands who are, I guess, would be considered the initiators of the movement.
What, are these women, would they consider themselves feminists?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
You laugh. Why do you laugh?
No, just because they're very hardcore on that level.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Very cool. All right, now let's show this one more time. The album is called Pure and Simple.
Right.
I think it's an interesting title simply because nothing is really pure and simple. There's always complications that are hidden behind the simplicity. What was difficult to make in this record? What was the complications behind this album?
Interesting question. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, for us, it seemed that we really just wanted to reinforce the fact to everybody that, look, we haven't changed our style. We haven't gone off and tried all different kinds of genre of music. Really, we've always basically been three-chord rock and roll. And so we really didn't want people to forget that, hence the name Pure and Simple. We just wanted it to be really in people's faces and very live sounding. Oh,
it's a good record. Oh,
you
kind of want to bang your head just a little. Not too hard. Not like death metal or anything like that. Well, thank you very much for dropping by. You told me earlier that plans are to come to Canada to tour, but probably later on?
Right. I would think maybe in the fall, yeah.
We look forward to it.
We'll definitely get here for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. The video that we're going to play right now, again, refers to the story that you were telling about. Now tell me about the video that Julian Temple shot.
Right, okay. It's called Go Home. And it, like I said, it's about a woman being stalked, being attacked, but fighting back and winning, because she does know a little bit, just a little bit, enough. I mean, this isn't like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris, but just enough.
Self-defense.
Right, just enough to get away so you can go call 911 or just call your friends for help.
Has that ever happened to you?
Not on a one-on-one situation. I mean, I know there's people out there, which is a scary thought. But I think that's a scary thing for all women and men. You know, it's not. You know, it's something that we all have to be aware of and take responsibility for. And I think that's probably the main message to this video, is to learn to take responsibility. Don't just say it's not going to happen to me, because it's happened. You know, too many times people say that, and then it does happen to them.
Well, thank you very much for stopping by, and take a look at this video right now from Joan Jett.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.